The first time around, I got into Bridge University and never knew it. The acceptance packet never reached my hands. I waited through the first week of summer, then the second, then the third. By July, I had convinced myself I had misunderstood the counselor, misread the preliminary email, or somehow lost my place in the incoming class. I cried through most of that summer and eventually enrolled in a local 2-year college because it was the only option still open. Years later, Ethan Cole got drunk at my kitchen table and finally told me the truth. "The packet was in my desk drawer," he said, sobbing into his folded arms. "I was scared that if you left, you'd never come back." Then he wrapped his arms around me and called it love. Love. By then the word felt spoiled. My scholarship, my freshman year, the life I should have started hundreds of miles away from that narrow little neighborhood, he had kept all of it in a drawer until the paper yellowed at the edges. When I opened my eyes again, I was 17. And a courier was standing at the end of our lane, calling my name. Maya Hayes? Certified delivery for Maya Hayes from Bridge University. I froze behind the screen door. Late June heat pressed against the little house. Sunlight burned across the cracked concrete path. A cicada buzzed somewhere in the maple tree by the curb. Then Ethan stepped out of the house next door. He was 17 again too, all clean white t-shirt, damp hair, easy smile. He looked exactly like the boy I had once trusted with everything important. "She's my girlfriend," he told the courier, holding out his hand. "I can take it for her." The courier looked at him, then down at the padded envelope. "I'd rather have the addressee sign." "She's inside. She's shy about this stuff." Ethan laughed lightly and reached again. That hand had taken my future once. Not this time. I pushed the door open and stepped into the sun. Several neighbors were already watching from porches and open windows. Mrs. Dawson across the lane stood with a bowl of green beans balanced against her hip. "Oh my goodness," she called. "Maya really got into Bridge?" Ethan turned. For one brief second, his face went still. I would have missed it in my first life. This time, I saw everything. I took out my phone and started a live video. My own face appeared on the screen first. I flipped the camera toward the courier. "Big day," I said cheerfully. "I want proof I didn't imagine it." Ethan's hand stopped in midair. The courier straightened a little when he noticed the phone. "You're Maya Hayes?" "Yes." "Can I see your ID?" I handed it over, careful to keep the card out of the camera frame. The video captured the tracking label, my name, the Bridge University return address, and Ethan's hand slowly dropping back to his side. A few classmates joined the live feed. "Maya, it's here." "Show us the packet." "Wait, is that Ethan?" I signed on the courier's device. The envelope landed in my palms with a weight that almost made my knees weak. "Congratulations," the courier said. "That's a good school." "Thank you." Ethan recovered quickly. He always had. "Congrats, May," he said, smiling as if nothing strange had happened. "I knew you did it." "Thanks." Mrs. Dawson came closer, practically vibrating with curiosity. "Open it! Come on, let us see." The first time around, she had been one of the first people to tell me I had probably misunderstood my admission status. "Schools like Bridge don't take many kids from around here," she had said. "Maybe you got your hopes up." Later, when I enrolled locally, she had patted my shoulder and told me maybe staying close to home was for the best. Now she wanted a front row seat. Fine. I opened the package on camera. Inside was a thick red folder embossed with the Bridge crest. My name was printed across the welcome letter. Beneath it sat my financial aid award, orientation information, and the activation instructions for my student portal. For a few seconds, the lane went strangely quiet. Then the comments on my live stream exploded. No way. Full aid too? Maya, you did it. I held the letter in front of the camera. Accepted. Packet received in person. Beside me, Ethan curled his fingers against the seam of his jeans. I saw that too. He leaned toward me and lowered his voice. Maybe don't show anything with your student number. Concern. Always concern. Already covered it. He studied me. Why are you live streaming all of a sudden? Because I'm happy. I tucked the folder against my chest. I want to remember this exactly. He smiled, but the expression didn't quite reach his eyes. The moment I got back inside, I locked the door. Ethan knocked twice almost immediately. Maya? Open up. I'll help you go through the enrollment stuff. I didn't answer yet. First, I photographed every page. The acceptance letter. The scholarship award. The courier label. The tracking number. My signed delivery receipt. Then I saved copies to cloud storage, emailed them to my mother, my aunt, my high school counselor, and the Astor Bridge admissions office. Only after everything existed in at least 3 places did I open the door. Ethan stood there holding a glass bottle of orange soda. Your favorite. It had been, once. I'm good. He looked at the folder in my arms. You're guarding that thing like it's gold. Pretty much. I slid it into a zippered document case. My house was small enough that 2 people could hear every movement in it. Mom worked out of town most weeks at a manufacturing plant, and I usually stayed alone. Ethan had grown up next door. He had changed light bulbs for me, fixed a dripping faucet, carried 50-pound bags of rice in from the grocery store, and reminded me about school forms when I forgot. Every favor made him look dependable. That was how I had learned to hand him important things without thinking. He sat in the old wooden chair by the window. Where are you keeping the packet? Locked cabinet. That lock barely works. I'm buying a new one. His mouth twitched. Maya, what is going on with you today? Nothing. You've been acting like I might steal from you. I met his eyes. He laughed first, but the sound was too careful. You know I've been keeping track of your important stuff since middle school. Remember when you misplaced your exam admission card? I remembered. He had found it, brought it to school, and become the hero of the neighborhood for an entire week. After that, every time I had an important paper, my first instinct was to give it to Ethan. In my first life, he must have known exactly how easy it would be to take the university packet. I was younger then, I said. Something in his expression cooled. I guess getting into Astor Bridge changes things fast. I haven't even enrolled yet. But you're going to leave. The words slipped out before he could soften them. He went quiet. So did I. Finally I asked, didn't you have a summer class today? I skipped it. I wanted to be here when your packet came. That was thoughtful. The distance in my tone bothered him more than anger would have. We don't have to talk like strangers. I looked down and saved the livestream replay to another folder. His voice dropped. Astor Bridge is far away. I know. You'll be alone. The school runs airport and station shuttles during move-in. That's just move in. What about after? You trust people too easily. A big city can eat someone like you alive. The first time around, after my acceptance disappeared, he had said almost the same thing. Maybe staying local was safer. Maybe I wasn't built for a city full of strangers. Maybe there were decent schools closer to home. Maybe the life I lost was actually a blessing. I had believed him because I thought fear was the same thing as care. If I make mistakes, I said, I'll learn from them. He frowned. You shouldn't gamble with your future. Going to college isn't gambling with my future. His lips parted. You know that's not what I mean. I did. That was the problem. He stayed another 10 minutes, waiting for me to need him. I didn't. At the door, he tried once more. You need copies of all that stuff, right? I'll take you tomorrow. I'm going this afternoon. By yourself? Yes. His smile strained. Fine. Go by yourself. After he left, I put the original packet in a metal cash box, locked it, and threaded the tiny key onto a chain around my neck. At the copy shop, I kept every document in sight. When the clerk reached for my ID and set it beside the scanner, I put my hand over it. I'll turn the pages myself. He raised his eyebrows, then smiled. Careful kid. I learned. By the time I got home, Ethan had sent 14 messages. Did you make copies? Why didn't you call me? I was only trying to help. Are you seriously going to start separating everything between us because you got into a better school? I took screenshots and saved them in a folder labeled Ethan. That evening, my aunt called. Astor Bridge is an amazing opportunity, she began, which meant a warning was coming next. But living expenses are high. Your mom already works herself to the bone. Can you afford it? I had the financial aid page open before she finished. I qualify for need-based aid, campus work-study, and a deferred tuition plan. My scholarship covers most of the rest. You're still so young. Going that far away alone. There are good schools here too. Footsteps sounded outside my window. I looked up. Ethan stood by the gate with a bag of fruit in one hand. My aunt continued, Ethan says he isn't trying to stop you. He just worries you'll struggle there. You two grew up together. He knows you better than anyone. He wouldn't hurt you. Outside, Ethan lifted his eyes toward my window and gave me a small, patient smile. I emailed my aunt 4 documents. Financial aid. Scholarship terms. Work-study eligibility. Emergency student support. Read those first, I said. She sighed. When did you get so stubborn? When I learned what the options are. Later that night, Mom called from the factory. Machinery thundered in the background. She sounded exhausted. I explained everything. She asked one question. Do you want to go? My throat tightened. Yes. There was a pause, then the clatter of something metal on her end. Then go. We'll figure out the money. I can work on campus. I can borrow what the scholarship doesn't cover. Your job is to get there and study. Her voice softened. Send me a picture of the letter. I did. A few minutes later she sent a voice message. Machines roared behind her. She must have stepped into a hallway or storage area because her voice came through low and warm. My girl got into Astor Bridge. I'm so proud of you. I listened to it 5 times. Outside, Ethan waited another 20 minutes before giving up. His last messages that night read, "Your aunt says you're being stubborn. I'm not trying to force you. I'm scared you'll regret leaving. If I'm annoying you, I'll stop." Every sentence left him an exit. That was Ethan's gift. He never tightened the rope fast enough for you to notice it around your throat. The next day, Ethan came over as if nothing had happened. "Mom's making dinner tonight," he said. "She wants to celebrate you." Mrs. Cole had prepared enough food for twice the number of people at the table. She hugged me when I walked in and announced that having an Asterbridge student from our lane made everyone look good. Then, before I had taken 3 bites, the warnings began. "It's just so far," she said while ladling soup into my bowl. "A young woman alone in a huge city? I'd never sleep." Ethan's cousin Olivia laughed from across the table. "Maya's way too nice. Somebody will scam her in the first week." Mrs. Cole gave Olivia a token frown. "Don't scare her." But she was smiling. Mr. Cole cut into his chicken and spoke in the tone adults used when they thought a decision had already been made for you. "Prestige isn't everything. There are solid universities in this region. If the environment is wrong for a kid, the name on the diploma doesn't matter." I looked around the table. Everyone was planning my life. Again. In my first life, when the packet never came, these same people had told me to accept reality. When I ended up at community college, they told me not to make myself miserable chasing what wasn't meant for me. And years later, when Ethan's confession finally surfaced, Mrs. Cole had cried and said, "He loved you too much. What he did was wrong, but his heart was in the right place." As if he had misplaced a birthday card instead of years of my life. I set down my spoon. The university has an official move-in shuttle. I'm going by myself. Mrs. Cole's smile tightened. Why make things harder than they need to be? Ethan can take you. The school has it handled. Olivia tipped her head. Guess Asterbridge students don't need small-town people anymore. Ethan frowned at her. Knock it off. He defended me with his words while watching my face for a reaction. I wiped my mouth with my napkin. I have enrollment forms to finish. Thanks for dinner. Mrs. Cole blinked. You're leaving already? I ate enough. Ethan followed me outside. The lane was darker than the main road, lit by 2 old street lamps and the glow from living room windows. He walked beside me in silence until we reached my gate. You embarrassed my mom tonight. I stopped. I said I was traveling to school by myself. She was trying to help. I know. He studied me. Are you this cold with everyone who's trying to help you now? I looked at him. If help requires taking over my decisions, I don't want it. Something shifted behind his eyes. Then he smiled, like he was indulging a child. You're overwhelmed. I'm not going to argue with you. He reached for my hair. I stepped back. His hand closed on empty air. For the first time, the warmth disappeared from his face completely. A dog barked somewhere down the block. Neither of us said goodnight. Over the next week, Asterbridge sent new student reminders almost every day. Housing. Health forms. Financial aid verification. Orientation registration. A student ID photo. I made a checklist and handled each item myself. Every document was photographed. Every important email went into a separate folder. Every login received a unique password. Ethan kept showing up. Sometimes with fruit. Sometimes with folders he said would be useful. Sometimes with no excuse at all beyond, I was nearby. I said no to everything. His patience wore thinner by the day. One afternoon, while I was packing, he appeared with a brand new suitcase. It was pale blue, hard shell, and expensive enough that I would once have felt guilty refusing it. "Your old one is falling apart," he said. "Take this. Mine still works." He rolled the suitcase across my floor anyway. "Stop rejecting everything I do. It cost too much. You're my girlfriend. I'm allowed to buy you something." My hands paused on a stack of folded shirts. I placed them in my old suitcase. "Ethan, I'm not thinking about our relationship right now." His face changed instantly. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm getting ready to leave for school." "And what happens to us when you leave?" "We'll talk later." He gave a short laugh with no humor in it. "Later. So I'm already behind Astor Bridge on your priority list." I looked up. "Why do you need to be ranked against my education?" That stopped him. I grabbed my keys. "I need to buy some supplies." He moved into the doorway. "I'll come." "No." Again with no. His jaw tightened. "Since the day that packet arrived, you've been avoiding me. Are you regretting being with me?" His eyes reddened almost on cue. In my first life, those eyes had been enough to make me apologize for almost anything. This time, I asked, "Why did you try to take my acceptance packet?" His expression emptied. "What?" "The courier called my name. Why did you reach for it before I came outside?" "I already told you. You're my girlfriend." "I was helping." "The courier asked for me." "Seriously? You're keeping score over something like that?" I stepped around him. "I'm late." That night, I logged into my Astor Bridge applicant account to confirm my housing paperwork. A security banner appeared at the top of the page. "New sign-in detected." The timestamp was 3:17 p.m. The device location was our town. At 3:17, Ethan had been standing in my bedroom with the blue suitcase. My fingers went cold on the mouse. The first time around, he took the physical packet. This time, when he couldn't reach the paper, somebody had gone after the account. I didn't call him. I didn't run outside. I took screenshots. Then I changed the password, changed the recovery email, enabled two-factor authentication, logged out every active session, and called Astor Bridge admissions. A woman named Ms. Rivera answered. I explained the unauthorized sign-in without naming Ethan as the culprit because I couldn't yet prove the device was his. She verified my identity and checked the account. "I don't see any withdrawal request, deferment request, or enrollment status change," she said. "Your offer is accepted and your orientation registration is active." My shoulders loosened a fraction. "Can you put a note on my account that any enrollment change has to be verified directly with me? No third party, even if they know my personal information." "Absolutely. I'll also flag the security incident and send you a confirmation email." "Thank you." I wrote a short incident statement and attached the screenshots. A few minutes after I sent it, Ethan messaged me. "Did I scare you earlier? I shouldn't have pushed. I'm just terrified of you going so far away. May, please don't ignore me." I turned the phone face down. In my mind, I saw his old desk drawer from my first life. The acceptance folder lay inside it, faded and dusty. The next morning I went to a photo and print shop beside the police substation. I had passport photos made, scanned every remaining document, and sealed paper copies into labeled envelopes. The woman who owned the shop watched me organize everything. Going to college or preparing for court? Both require paperwork. She laughed. Then she noticed the Astor Bridge logo. That's a serious school. Good for you. Keep your originals close. Something in her tone made me look up. She trimmed the edge of a photograph and said, "My daughter had a stepmother hide an enrollment document years ago. School called us before the deadline, thank God. People can be stranger than thieves when they think they own your choices." I took the envelope she handed me. "Thank you." "Get out there," she said. "And don't let anybody guilt you into coming back before you're ready." Ethan was waiting by the lane when I returned. Dark circles sat under his eyes. "Where were you this early?" "Getting photos." He glanced at the envelope. "Why didn't you tell me? Did you need photos too?" He had no answer for that. Mrs. Dawson happened to walk by carrying groceries. "Ethan, you're keeping tabs on her like a probation officer," she teased. "Maya's going off to college. She can take a picture without permission." His smile stiffened. "You're right, Mrs. Dawson." She pointed at me. "I saw your delivery video. Smart girl. Important documents should go straight to the person they belong to. Imagine losing that packet." I almost laughed. In my first life, Mrs. Dawson's gossip had cut me 100 times. Now, without knowing it, she had become a nail driven into the wall between Ethan and me. We walked the rest of the lane together. Ethan lowered his voice. "You posted the live stream publicly?" I saved a short version. "Why?" "It's a memory." He watched my face. "It shows me reaching for the packet." I stopped. "Does that bother you?" His answer came too fast. "Why would it? I just don't want people making something weird out of it." Nobody has. Because in the video, he never actually touched the packet. His intention lived in the space between his open hand and the courier. He knew what he had meant to do. I knew too. That afternoon I edited the recording down to 1 minute. The courier called my name. Ethan reached out. I came through the gate with my phone already recording. I showed ID off camera. I signed. The courier handed the packet to me. I opened it. The acceptance letter filled the screen. I titled the video, "My Astor Bridge Acceptance Packet Finally Arrived." My counselor commented first. "Personal delivery. Safe in your hands. Next stop, a much bigger world." I pinned the comment. Ethan didn't like the post. Hours later he messaged me. "Everything you do lately feels like you're trying to protect yourself from me." I replied, "You're overthinking it. Then delete the video." I didn't answer. 30 seconds later another message arrived. "Never mind. Keep it. If it makes you happy." It sounded like surrender. It felt like a warning. I saved that too. In the final days before move-in, Ethan began telling mutual friends that I had changed. Not directly, of course. He never said, "Maya thinks she's too good for us now." Instead, he wrote things like, "She's under a lot of stress. Try not to take it personally if she disappears." Our friend Lucas joked in the group chat, "Ethan practically needs an appointment to see his own girlfriend now." Someone else replied, "That's what happens when people get into elite schools." Ethan waited almost an hour before responding. "Don't say that. She's just busy getting ready." Instantly, 2 people praised him for being patient with me. I didn't argue. I posted Asterbridge's official move-in checklist with a caption, "Paperwork week. If I vanish, this is why." My counselor liked it. Several classmates wished me luck. The jokes died on their own. Ethan sent me a private message. "I never said anything bad about you." I answered, "I know. You're not even mad anymore." I put the phone away. The morning I left, the sun hadn't fully risen. Mom had come home from the factory overnight. Her eyes were red from exhaustion, but she stood in the kitchen boiling eggs and stuffing snacks into a grocery bag. "Eat on the way." I hugged her. "I'll call when I get there." She held me hard for 1 second longer than usual. "Don't skip meals just to save money." At the end of the lane, Ethan waited beside his father's car. Mrs. Cole stood with him holding a bag of fruit. "Maya," she said, forcing brightness into her voice. "Ethan wants to take you to the station. I came to see you off." "I already have a ride." She sighed. "Why make everything so formal? He barely slept last night worrying about you." Ethan stepped forward. His eyes were red. "Just let me take you to the station. I'm not stopping you from going." Neighbors had begun appearing on porches again. Mrs. Dawson leaned against her doorway with a coffee mug. "Let the boy say goodbye," she called. "He's been glued to her since kindergarten." Ethan took one more step. "I'm not asking for anything else." I looked at him. In my first life, he hadn't asked me to stay either. He had simply removed the road. I reached for the handle of my old suitcase. "My counselor is taking me." Color drained from his face. A small car turned into the lane. Ms. Grant, my high school counselor, waved from behind the wheel. She had offered to take me because she was already meeting another former student near the station. Ethan stared at me. "You asked a teacher?" She offered. Ms. Grant got out and opened the trunk. "Morning. Maya, you have your ID, admission packet, financial aid forms?" I tapped the crossbody bag against my chest. "All here." "Perfect. Let's not miss that train." Mrs. Cole opened her mouth, but Ms. Grant was already lifting my suitcase into the trunk. Ethan stood motionless. As I got into the passenger seat, he followed the car for 2 steps. "Maya!" I turned. He stood under the streetlight, shoulders rigid. "Call me when you get there." I didn't promise. The lane disappeared behind us. At the station, Ms. Grant walked me to the security entrance and handed me a bottle of water. "The first week will feel enormous," she said. "That's normal. Don't confuse unfamiliar with wrong." I nodded. She smiled. "I watched your acceptance video 3 times." I blinked. "Why?" "Because I liked seeing you take your own paperwork." She squeezed my shoulder. "Important things belong in your own hands. Remember that." When the train finally pulled away, our town slid backward beyond the glass. My phone vibrated. Ethan had sent a photo of my empty front porch. You really left. Then another message. I'm just scared you won't look back. I put my phone on silent. The acceptance folder rested inside the bag against my ribs. For the first time in 2 lives, I was moving toward the life printed on it. Astor Bridge was louder than I had imagined. The station emptied into a river of people, rolling suitcases, parents shouting directions, rideshare cars inching along the curb. A group of student volunteers held bright signs above the crowd. Astor Bridge Move-In Shuttle. I found the line and climbed onto the bus with 20 other freshmen. Glass towers passed outside the window. Streets widened, then split into neighborhoods I had only seen on maps. My stomach tightened with every unfamiliar turn. In my first life, Ethan would have called that feeling proof. See? You don't belong there. This time, I let the fear exist without obeying it. At the enrollment center, students filled every row of temporary tables. Some had parents carrying folders. Some arrived in groups. Some looked as lost as I felt. I stood in line alone. When my number was called, I sat across from a senior volunteer named Leah and handed over my aid documents. She flipped through them. You came prepared. I was afraid I'd miss something. You didn't. Your scholarship is posted, work study is approved, and the balance is covered by your student aid package. She handed me a stamped receipt. Residence Hall is Building 7. Campus transport will move the heavy luggage, so don't try to carry everything yourself. I thanked her and stepped outside. My neck was damp with sweat. My phone showed a wall of messages from Ethan. Did you arrive? Are you lost? Do you know where your dorm is? I can look up the campus map. Maya, please answer me. I typed one sentence. Checked in. Everything's fine. He called immediately. I declined and sent, still handling move-in. Can't talk. After a long pause, he replied, okay. My roommates were already unpacking when I reached the dorm. Jenna Alvarez, who lived in the city, talked fast and had labeled every storage bin she owned. Riley Morgan was from a mountain town several hours north and greeted me by taking one end of my suitcase without asking. Family didn't come? My counselor got me to the station. Riley nodded, impressed. Independent. I respect it. Jenna leaned down from the lofted bed. Respect it later. Does anyone have scissors? This mattress topper is wrapped like evidence in a murder case. I handed her a small pair from my desk organizer. She pressed both hands together dramatically. My hero. I laughed. That night, after my sheets were on the bed and the room finally looked livable, I took the acceptance folder out of my bag. I set it on the desk beside my new dorm key and photographed them together. Move-in complete, I captioned the post. Classmates and teachers liked it. Ethan didn't. He messaged privately instead. You post things before you even tell me now. I stared at the words until they blurred. Back home, he had tried to reach into my life with his hands. Now he could do it through a screen. I turned my phone over and went to sleep. The first month was hard. Classes moved faster than anything at my high school. Students raised their hands and spoke as if they had been born knowing how seminars worked. Club fairs covered the main quad. Dining halls were crowded. Twice I got on the wrong campus shuttle and ended up 10 minutes from where I meant to be. During my first group presentation, my voice shook so badly I had to restart my opening sentence. That night I took the long path back to the dorm and sat by the lake. Cool wind rippled the surface. I made a list in my notes app. Read chapter again. Ask professor about problem set. Visit speaking center. Watch lecture recording. Ethan called. I almost ignored it, then answered. Why are you still outside? He asked immediately. I glanced at the campus clock tower. I'm walking. At this hour? It's 9:30. Big cities aren't safe at night. I'm on campus. Campus isn't magic. You always assume people mean well. The lake reflected yellow light from the path lamps. I suddenly felt very tired. Ethan, do you want me to do well here? Silence. Of course I do. Then why does every conversation with you sound like a prediction that something terrible is about to happen to me? His breathing caught. I'm worried. That's all. I know. I ended the call. After that, I stopped giving him details. No class schedule. No daily location. No list of friends. No descriptions of what I found difficult. If he asked how school was, I said, fine. If he asked where I was, I said, busy. If he wanted my timetable so we could plan calls, I ignored the request. His messages grew longer. Astor Bridge will change you. Long distance changes people. You have all these new friends now. I feel like I'm watching you disappear. I saved every message and spent my time on things that actually built my life. I went to office hours. I joined a study group. I applied for work study. When the library posted an opening for evening circulation assistance, Jenna sent it to me. You wanted a campus job, right? Better than working off campus late. I interviewed and got the position. The first paycheck was small. I still sat on the library steps for almost 5 minutes staring at the deposit in my account. Rent and tuition were covered through aid. My meal plan was basic but enough. That paycheck meant toothpaste, notebooks, winter gloves, maybe a train ticket home. I could survive here. Not because Ethan allowed it. Not because anybody rescued me. Because there were systems I could use, people I could ask, and work I could do. Ethan came to Astor Bridge in November. I had just left a student organization meeting with a binder under one arm when I saw him standing at the foot of the humanities building. Maya. I stopped. He looked thinner. The wind had turned his face pale. For the first time in my memory, he didn't look completely sure that I would come when he called. What are you doing here? I wanted to see you. His eyes shifted toward Jenna and Riley behind me. Jenna leaned close. Friend? Someone I grew up with. Ethan flinched. Someone you grew up with? Riley's eyebrows lifted. We'll grab a table at dinner, she said. Text us. She pulled Jenna toward the dining hall. They didn't go far. I saw them stop beside a row of trees 50 yards away. Ethan noticed too. You have people standing guard now? They're my roommates. He gave a bitter little laugh. Right. He looked at the binder. Club project? Yes. You seem different. I am. The answer landed harder than I expected. His eyes reddened. Were you planning to leave me the whole time? I checked the time. I have somewhere to be. He caught my wrist. Maya. I looked down at his hand. He released me slowly. I'm scared, he said. Of what? His face twisted. That you came here and realized everything back home is small. That you'll meet people who are smarter than me, richer than me, more interesting than me, and suddenly I won't matter. There it was. The truth beneath every warning. Not fear for me. Fear of what my freedom would mean for him. In my first life, drunk at our kitchen table, he had said the same thing in different words. I was afraid you'd leave and never look back. He had put that fear in a drawer with my acceptance letter. Being afraid of losing someone, I said, doesn't give you the right to take their admission packet. His face went white. What? The day it arrived. You reached for it. His throat moved. I was helping. And the unauthorized login to my applicant portal? Something flashed in his eyes. Tiny. But it was there. I don't know what you're talking about. I opened my phone. First the delivery video. Then the security alert. Then the admissions office email confirming the account flag. I held the screen between us. His color drained with every image. You were collecting evidence against me from the beginning? I was protecting my enrollment. Because you thought I'd sabotage you? You did things worth documenting. I didn't take the packet. Because I walked outside with a camera running. He stared at me. So you think if you hadn't done that, I would have stolen it? I said nothing. The answer was already moving across his face. He knew what he'd wanted. He knew how close he'd come. He stepped backward and laughed once, brokenly. You really haven't trusted me since that day. I locked my phone. Don't contact me anymore. If you try to access my accounts again or show up uninvited, I'll report it to the university and law enforcement. His head jerked up. You're threatening to have me arrested? I'm telling you the boundary. Tears spilled down his face. Maya, I love you. I love you so much it scares me. The words turned my stomach. Your version of love makes my life smaller until it fits inside the space you can control. He stopped breathing for a second. Riley walked over from the trees. Maya, Professor Ellison is looking for you. There was no Professor Ellison looking for me. I knew it. Riley knew it. Ethan probably knew it too. Coming, I said. We walked toward the building. Before I went inside, I looked back once. Ethan stood exactly where I had left him. His head was bowed. He was staring at his own hands. Maybe for the first time, he understood that one of them had nearly closed around something that was never his. After that, he unraveled from a distance. Long messages arrived every few days. He reminded me of walking home from elementary school together. The night our power went out and he brought over a flashlight. The time I got sick before an exam and he biked across town to buy medicine. The middle school dance where he waited outside because I was too embarrassed to go in alone. Every memory ended in the same place. I was only scared of losing you. I never answered. By finals, I had earned the top mark in one of my courses, received my first merit scholarship, and been recommended for a student research competition. My life was finally too full to organize around Ethan's regret. One afternoon, while I was shelving books at work, another message appeared. I rewatched your acceptance video. I swear I only meant to carry the packet inside for you. But sometimes I wonder what would have happened if you hadn't come outside recording. I stared at that last sentence. Then I slid a book into place and pushed the row straight. No reply. Winter break brought me back to the same streets, but I wasn't the same girl who had left them. The lane seemed narrower than I remembered. The houses looked smaller too. I had gone to the local police office that morning to request a certified identity record for a scholarship application. When I came out, I nearly walked into Mrs. Cole. She carried 2 grocery bags and brightened the moment she saw me. "Maya! You're home. Ethan talks about you constantly. He says you're so busy at Bridge you barely have time for him." I stopped on the sidewalk. "Mrs. Cole, Ethan and I aren't together anymore." Her smile froze. "Don't say things like that because of one fight." "It wasn't one fight." Her expression sharpened. "Maya, don't let a fancy school make you forget who was there before you got in. Everybody in this neighborhood knows how good Ethan has been to you." Mrs. Dawson chose that exact moment to come around the corner. "What's going on?" Mrs. Cole gave her a tight smile. "Nothing. Kids having relationship problems." I looked directly at Ethan's mother. "He didn't tell you?" She hesitated. "Tell me what?" "Someone accessed my Bridge admissions account without permission while Ethan was at my house." Mrs. Dawson stopped walking. "Admissions account?" I opened the screenshot on my phone. The university's enrollment system. I had to change my login, enable 2-factor authentication, and ask the school to flag the account. Mrs. Cole's face strained. "There must be some mistake." "Maybe. Ethan knows whether there is." Mrs. Dawson's eyes widened. "Wait. Wasn't he also the one trying to take her acceptance packet from the courier?" "I saw that video." Mrs. Cole turned on her. "He was helping." "I'm just saying what was on the video." Mrs. Dawson had never understood the concept of speaking quietly. 2 neighbors across the street looked over. I put my phone away. "I have somewhere to be." I left them on the sidewalk. That evening, Ethan waited at the entrance to our lane. Snow drifted through the yellow streetlight. His eyes were swollen, either from crying or from arguing with his mother. "Why did you tell her?" "She thought we were still together." "You could have told her privately. You didn't have to humiliate me in front of Mrs. Dawson." I almost laughed. "You were worried about humiliation when you tried to interfere with my enrollment?" He went silent. Snow gathered on the shoulders of his coat. For a long time neither of us moved. Then he said, "I did want to take the packet that day." My fingers tightened inside my sleeves. I had expected the admission. Hearing it still made something old ache inside me. "I thought I'd bring it home and keep it safe for you," he continued. "At least at first." "At first?" He looked away. "I don't know. I hadn't decided." There it was. Not the full confession from my first life. But enough. He swallowed hard. "When I imagined you at Bridge, surrounded by people who have everything, I couldn't breathe. I kept thinking you'd look back at this place and be embarrassed. Embarrassed by me. So you wanted control of the packet. I wanted time. My time wasn't yours to take." His eyes filled. "I wasn't trying to ruin your life." In my first life, he had said the same thing. He had not intended to ruin me. He had only intended to keep me. The difference mattered to him. It did not matter to the years I had lost. He stepped closer. Can you understand me once? I was scared. I moved back. No. Tears slid down his face. You used to have more compassion than this. That's why you thought you could reach for it. He went still. I took a folded page from my bag. I had printed a simple list. The delivery video. The unauthorized login alert. The email from Astor Bridge admissions. Screenshots of repeated messages after I asked for space. These are the records I have, I said. If you access any account, contact my university pretending to be me, appear at my dorm, or continue after I tell you to stop, I will make a formal report. He stared at the paper as if I had handed him a court order. You actually prepared this? Yes. You're leaving nothing between us. I placed the page in his hand. I've already had enough things left for me by you. His face lost what little color remained. I walked past him. He didn't follow. The rest of college passed faster than I expected. My first year taught me how much I didn't know. My second taught me that not knowing wasn't shameful. When I struggled in class, I went to office hours. When money got tight, I met with financial aid instead of silently panicking. When my work-study schedule became too heavy during exams, I asked my supervisor to reduce my shifts. When a classmate took credit for part of my research contribution, I documented my work and spoke to the professor. None of those things came naturally at first. I had spent too many years believing the safest path was to be agreeable. But each small act of speaking up made the next one easier. My scholarship renewed. I joined a faculty research project. I won a departmental competition my junior year. That award led to a summer internship with a mid-size consulting firm in the same city. I learned how to ride the transit system without checking the map every 3 minutes. I learned which grocery store marked produce down after 8. I learned how to cook 3 decent meals in a dorm kitchen and how to tell the difference between loneliness and peace. Mom came to visit during my sophomore spring. It was her first time seeing the campus. She stood under the stone arch at the main entrance and stared up so long that I had to touch her elbow. Mom? This is where you live? Pretty much. She looked at the libraries, the lawns, the students crossing between buildings. Her eyes filled. I'm glad you came. I knew what she meant. Not I'm glad you got into a prestigious university. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you left when the door opened. I hugged her right there on the sidewalk. For the first 2 years, Ethan's messages came through new numbers whenever I blocked an old one. They were never threatening. That almost made them harder to explain to people who had known him as the sweet boy next door. Happy birthday. No need to reply. Saw snow on the news. Hope you're warm. Your mom said you're doing well. I'm glad. I know you hate me. I still hope you're happy. I blocked every number. Eventually, the messages stopped. Mutual friends mentioned him sometimes. He had enrolled at a university in our region. He switched majors twice. He stopped going to some neighborhood gatherings because people had started whispering about the admissions account. I never asked for more. His life was no longer my responsibility, and his unhappiness was not proof that I had done something cruel. That lesson took me longer to learn than any class at Astor Bridge. Graduation arrived on a bright morning in May. I stood in a black gown outside the main hall while Jenna adjusted the tassel on my cap. Riley was taking pictures and complaining that every angle made her look short. You are short, Jenna said. That's not supportive. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the folder in my hand. Jenna noticed it. Is that what I think it is? I opened the hard-shell document sleeve. Inside was my original acceptance packet. The red cover had faded only slightly. You brought that to graduation? I wanted one picture with it. Riley grinned. Extremely sentimental for someone who pretends not to be. We walked toward the Stone University sign. I set the acceptance folder against the base and stood beside it in my graduation gown. Jenna lifted my phone. Okay. Don't blink. Behind her, the Bridge name was carved into pale stone. Sunlight hit the letters so sharply they almost glowed. My phone buzzed in Jenna's hand. You got a message. Ignore it. She took several photos, then handed the phone back. The message was from an old classmate. Ethan asked if your ceremony is over. I didn't answer. A minute later, the same person sent another text. Sorry. I probably shouldn't be the messenger. He's had a rough few years. People say he still watches that video of you getting the acceptance packet. I deleted the conversation. The video still existed. After graduation, I copied it to an external drive along with my university records. The file name was simple. Acceptance Delivery. One evening in my new apartment, I opened it for the first time in years. The image shook slightly because my 17-year-old hand had been trembling. The courier stood beneath the maple tree calling my name. Ethan stepped out before me. He smiled. He reached. Then the front door opened. I came into frame with my phone already recording. Sunlight flashed across the waterproof envelope. The courier asked for my ID. I signed. And my own younger voice came clearly through the speaker. I'm signing for it myself. I watched only a few seconds more before closing the laptop. My diploma lay on the table beside the same red acceptance folder. Outside the window, people were laughing on the sidewalk below. A new job started in 2 weeks. I had an apartment lease in my own name. Student loan payments were mapped into my budget. Mom had already called 3 times to ask whether I owned enough kitchen towels. My life was not perfect. It was mine. The phone lit up one last time. Unknown number. If I hadn't reached for the packet that day, would we be different now? I read the question once. Then I blocked the number. I put the acceptance folder back inside its protective sleeve and laid it at the top of my moving box. For years, Ethan had believed my leaving was the tragedy. He never understood that the tragedy would have been staying because someone who claimed to love me was too frightened to let me become larger than the life he had imagined for us. The first time around, he stole a piece of paper and with it a road I never knew I had been allowed to take. The second time, his hand never reached the envelope. That small difference changed everything. Not because one document magically built my future. Because I finally understood what that moment meant. My education was mine. My decisions were mine. My fear was mine to work through. Even my mistakes belonged to me. Love could stand beside those things. It could support them. It could never own them. I zipped the suitcase closed. The acceptance packet rested on top, exactly where I had chosen to put it.